Good morning, everybody. We'll talk about the video here in a minute, but hey, just want to welcome everybody here today. Just before I kind of jump into this, just wanted to take a moment and just thank you guys for the love and the support that we've felt, my family, from you guys the past week and a half or so. I think most of you are aware we finally got some foster kids. We've been kind of chasing around the church and stuff today. And this was something that I was thinking about on my way to church this morning. I think it was about 2.5 years ago. I stood up here and talked about something that I thought God was doing in our life, and we started that process and thought it was going to be quick. And about 8 months ago, we got licensed, and then we're like, oh, we're going to get kids any moment now, and we had to wait 8 months in order to actually get our first foster kids. But we got them, and it's been wonderful, and it's been crazy, and just all sorts of different emotions. But it's been really cool, and one of my things that I was excited about, I was excited to introduce them to my family, but then I was also really excited to be able to introduce them to you guys because of just the church family and the people here, just wanting them to get to know you guys as well, and that's been super cool, and we appreciate all the stuff that you guys have done for us the past couple weeks. So if you want, feel free to come up, meet them, Toddy and Harmony. Super cool kids, but man, my life is upside down. Like I tell a lot of crazy stories about my kids, but my kids are easy, compared to toddlers again. So, but it's been good, and it's been just exciting. And so we are in this series called One Another, where we look at relationships and friendships and the people we interact with, and how can we love one another. And so today, as I was kind of working on this, I sat down, I was taking notes, I started to think to myself, what is it about the people in my life, the relationships, the friendships, the people that I like to spend time with, what is it about the people that I choose to be around? What's the one thing that they all have in common? What is that thing that I look for in a friend or someone to hang out with? And then on the flip side of that, I started thinking, okay, so what is it that I don't like? What is it that I try to stay away from? What is it about certain people that maybe drive me crazy? Not that I hate them or completely dislike them, but I just know that if I spend time with them too long, I'll probably say something rude or something like that. And it all comes down to what I'm talking about today, and that's this idea of authenticity. The people that I enjoy being around, the people that I call friends that I enjoy hanging out with, I feel like the one thing they all have in common is that they are truly authentic people. They're people that are real, that'll tell you, how it is, what's going on, not try to keep anything hidden. And the people that usually I steer clear from are the opposite of that. The ones that might be fake or, try to put on this show of, I've got everything together. There was a woman, and I can't tell, I don't remember if I've ever told this story, but there was this woman that I used to know, and she was one of these not authentic people, and she just would drive me crazy, and I would usually try to stay away from her, and then there was this one particular Monday that a bunch of us sat down to eat lunch, and this woman was there, and everybody's just kind of telling stories, and she's like, oh, the most embarrassing thing happened to me yesterday. And I thought, oh, good. She's actually going to, tell a real story. And she's like, we were at church, and the pastor asked all of the kids to come up on stage. And I'm like, all right, this is cool. My kids always do ridiculous stuff at church. And she's like, and then the pastor asked all the kids what they ate for breakfast. And she's like, kids were saying fruit and oatmeal. And she's like, and it came to my son, and he said that in front of the entire church, he said he ate a donut for breakfast. She's like, I was mortified. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. First of all these people that I love, we eat donuts every Sunday before church. It's what we do at our church. Secondly, I kid you not, the night before we had Riot, and my kids were a lot younger, And I leave Riot, and they were supposed to be out playing in one of the areas of the church. I find my kids digging through the garbage here at church, eating all the donuts left over from the morning before that we had thrown away. Like, you have no idea. And there's people like this, and I think, just be real. Like, stop trying to pretend that you have it all together. Stop trying to maintain this certain image. Because now more than ever, I think people are truly searching for this kind of authenticity. And the people we hang around, you can look on Instagram, and if you search #authentic, there are over 9.7 million posts that say #authentic, is because people are just striving for authenticity everywhere they look. And if we want authenticity in our relationships and in the people that we are in contact with, then we need to learn how to be authentic people. One of the things that we do is that we impress people with our strengths. When it comes to us and our relationships, it's our strengths that we use to impress people. It's like the video that I showed, the millennial marriage proposal. We post the good stuff. We want the good stuff on social media. We want to maintain that kind of image that we have it all together. We think about the things that you post. You post the stuff like when your kids are getting along, right? Like everybody has that picture, and like the kids are like sitting on the couch, like reading a book together, and you're like, they just love each other. And like that's the picture you post. Like, no, they don't. Like, I've seen your kids at church. They don't always act like that. Like the things that we choose to post, it's always the good stuff. Like, and I thought about this at Christmas time. Like at Christmas time, like everybody posts, got the tree up, everything's looking nice, and you post that picture, but you don't post the picture like when your living room's like a wreck and everything's messy, because you want to maintain that image when we're online. I have a friend on my Facebook account. I probably shouldn't tell this story. It's terrible. And you know how like some people you keep on Facebook because even though they drive you crazy, you still can't stop looking at their posts. And this is terrible. There's pictures. Makes me so mad, but I can't. And she'll have her Bible. It'll say Holy Bible. I'll have it like facing the camera. And then she'll have her head bowed. And then she'll have a selfie right here. And it'll say, just praying to my Lord. I'm like, you're not praying. You're taking selfies. God stopped listening to you 5 minutes ago. And you post this, and it's like, trying to maintain this image, even this Christian image online, and you're like, that's not even real. Like, that's not real life. Like, the things that we do online, the things that we do on our phones and the social media and our persona online, that's not real life. But we do the same thing, like in our interactions with people. Like, phones have the little filters now that will filter out blemishes and make you look a certain way. And we do that in the way that we interact with people. We try to filter out the bad. We don't want anyone to see the side of us where the crazy parts of our life, and that maybe we don't really have it all together over here in this part of our life. We want to try to filter that out. You know, we drive to church, and I'm sure some of you probably just yelling at your kids the whole way to church. And what do you do when you hit the parking lot? Say, okay, all right, everybody smile. Come on, we're going to go in, and we're going to, we're okay now. And we want to be that family that walks in and looks like everything's good and everybody's happy and we have it all together. Because what we do, we impress people with our strengths, but we need to realize that we connect with people through our weaknesses. It's the weaknesses and it's the downfalls and it's the struggles that we actually are able to connect, and we're actually able to have real relationships. It's like God knew what he was doing when he designed us. Like he knew that for us to have true connection and true relationships with people on this earth, that we would have to learn to be vulnerable. We would have to learn to be authentic and show maybe not the not so pretty parts of our life. There's a story in the book of Acts about a husband and wife named Ananias and Sapphira. And we find their story in the very first few months of the church. Like they say this is the first church because what had happened was Jesus was on earth, and Jesus came and he taught, and then he died and he rose again. And there was all these people that said, we no longer want to live this way. We no longer want to be Jewish because we want to follow the teachings of Jesus. And so they started meeting together. And so now that was referred to as the first church. And this idea of Christianity is spreading. And amazing, amazing things are happening. And in Acts 4, it says, all believers were one in heart and mind. No one claimed any of their possessions as their own, but they shared everything that they had. And it was this amazing time. And Acts explains that people were actually just bringing money to the disciples and laying it at their feet. And the disciples were using this money to go and to help other people that were in need. And it says that people were selling stuff. And it tells of this man, his name was Joseph. And Joseph had a lot of land. And Joseph sold all of this land. And he brought all the money and gave it to the disciples so the church could use this to help other people. And this was such a big act of kindness that they actually changed Joseph's name to Barnabas, which means generous giver. And so people are on board with this way of life, this way of life that Jesus introduced to everybody. And they say, we want to live like that, and we're going to do whatever it takes to live like Jesus. And so there's this couple, Ananias and Sapphira, and they're already just kind of going to church. Like they're going to church, but they're not really getting it. And so they see all this stuff that's happening, and they see Joseph do this amazing thing, and they change his name, and everybody celebrates, and they say, we've got some extra land. Maybe we can sell this land. Maybe we can walk up in front of the church. Maybe we can take the money and we can set it down at the disciples' feet, and then everybody's going to cheer for us. Maybe they'll even change our names. We'll be like the heroes in the church. We're going to be just like Barnabas. And so they go and they sell this plot of land that they have. And they get this giant pile of money. And then things start to change because they're like, wow, man, this would really make us look good, but this is also a lot of money. And so they said, oh, this is what we'll do. We'll just take some of it. Like, let's just keep some for ourselves. And then we'll still go. We'll still donate a lot of the money. We're still going to go. And they're going to donate it still to the church. And so Ananias, the husband, he goes in first and he carries the money up. He sets it down at the feet of Peter. And I'm assuming there was some kind of announcement or proclamation like, we had land, we sold the money. Here is the money. And he's waiting for everybody to cheer and celebrate. And Peter immediately gets angry and he gets ticked off. And Peter calls out Ananias in front of the whole church for lying. And he says, you're not just lying to the church. He said, you're lying to God. Because Ananias wasn't doing this for the glory of God. He was doing this for his own glory. And the Bible says in Acts that Ananias, right there in front of everybody, falls over dead. It said some men came in and they carried the body out. They put the body outside. And then soon after, his wife, Sapphira, walks in. Picture her strutting in, probably waiting for everybody to call out all kinds of praises. And oh my gosh, that's so nice what you guys did. And immediately Peter says, hey, Sapphira, all this money up here, is this all the money you got for your land? And she says, yes, waiting for everybody to cheer. And then he says, well, there's some guys outside. They just carried your husband's body out, and they're ready to carry yours out as well. And before she can say anything, she falls over dead. And this is like this weird story, especially for like the New Testament. Like there's not a lot of like this weird, crazy stuff happening in the New Testament. And like a part of me feels bad because it is their land. Like it's their land. They donated some of the money. And Peter, who's always been one of my favorite Bible characters, Peter, he kind of seems a little harsh in this story. But when you can step back and you can look at what's happening in Acts 4 and Acts 5, amazing things were happening in this church. Like God's grace was just moving throughout the area, and it says that there wasn't a single person that was in need. There wasn't a single person that was hungry, that didn't have a place to stay, because this newly formed church was just taking care of every need that they saw, and people were loving it and giving their money. And for Peter, it's not about the money. He didn't care if they gave 100% of it or 50% of it. What gets Peter fired up is these people are just being fake. and that there's no room for pretending in his church. Because if you think about Peter, if you go back to the Gospels, just the book before, Peter has an interesting past. Because when Jesus was arrested and things were getting dicey, Peter, who had spent 3 years of his life with Jesus, and people start calling out and saying, hey, aren't you one of those disciples that follow this guy around? And Peter says, no, I don't know him. And they're like, yeah, I know you. You're one of his disciples. And Peter 3 different times says, I swear to you, I don't even know this guy. So Peter knows the importance of being real, because just a few months maybe before that, Peter was already just being fake and just completely turning his back on Jesus. For Peter, if you sell the land and you keep the money, that's fine. If you sell the land and you want to donate the money, then that's fine. But whatever you do, don't come into this church making a show. Don't come into this church making it all about you. Because Peter struggled with authenticity, and he knows the importance of being real, and he knows that nothing could kill a church faster than a bunch of people that are being fake and a bunch of people that are pretending. So Christians that focus on their strengths and not on their weaknesses, those kind of Christians, they don't really attract people. Those kind of Christians kind of do this. We're all kind of doing metaphors. I was regretting doing this metaphor this morning because I went out, because we raise pigs, and I went out and I shoveled some pig crap, and I gagged really, really hard, and my stomach hurt all morning. So that's real, authentic pig crap. If you don't believe me, you guys can come forward. You can smell it if you want. I tied it up really tight. I got the scented bags to try to cover it up so Jeff didn't smell it. But this is what we do, because we have this in our life. Some of us live and we've got this bag of crap in our life. But then we look around and maybe we start coming to church, and then this is what we do. And we come over here and we start cleaning up this part of our life. And we make sure that we say the right things. And we want to clean this up over here. And we're going to come over here and we're going to spend some time cleaning this up because we want to do the right things. Remember, there's still this pig crap right here, but we're doing the right things. And we want everybody to see that we have it all together. And we do the right things and we say the right things. And then we're over here and we're cleaning this up. And now our social media account is nothing but like Bible verses and nice pretty like pictures of nature with like nice sayings over top of it. But then all the while we still have this big pile of crap that we are keeping hidden over here in a bag while we're trying to clean all this stuff up. We want to keep it hidden. We want to hide it from all the people that we come in contact with and just let them see the pretty parts that we've cleaned up. But we don't want to spend any time doing anything about this right here. And we keep it hidden. And then you wonder to yourself, man, why does my marriage suck? Like, what is going on with my relationship with my wife? Or why do I feel like I just don't have any close friends anymore? Like, what's going on in my life? Like, there's got to be something. This big pile of crap right here that you're keeping hidden. Like, man, my relationship with God just seems weak. Like, everybody's talking about how close they are to God, and they hear God speaking to them, and I have no idea what's going on in my life and why I don't feel close to God. So we want to keep everything clean over here, and then we've got this thing right here, and it's just ruining our lives. Instead of just being honest with our struggles and with our downfalls and our weaknesses and the things that we are facing and going through. Remember, we impress people with our strengths, but it's our weaknesses. It's the things that we struggle with that help us connect with people. That's why it's always amazing when we do series, like sermon series, where people stand up here and tell their stories. Some of my favorite times at Crossroads has been when some of you guys have come up and we've had a Sunday where you've shared a story or something in your life, something that you say, this is the crap that I have in my life. This is the stuff that I'm struggling with, but this is how I am trying to get through it. And this is why when we do these Sundays that it's so amazing, because so many of you can sit there and say, wow, that's amazing. Like I've got the same crap in my life. Or that person dealt with that and they've overcome it, and now I can see that I can do that as well. Some of them, we've had some pretty crazy stories. I'm sure some of you sat there and said, wow, at least I don't have that crap in my life. Like, I thought I was bad. But the question I want you to focus on today is I want you to stop and I want you to think about your weaknesses. I want you to think about your downfalls and your struggles, that those dark moments in your life, that stuff that when I talk about this crap that you've got, that's the stuff that comes up. The question today is, can you let God shine through those moments? Can you let God shine through those things that you've dealt with, those things that for so long you have kept hidden from other people? How can you let God shine through that? We use our strengths to impress other people, and we also use our strengths to build ourselves up, to lift us up. And we use our weaknesses, though. Our weaknesses have the potential and the ability to be able to lift God up. Honestly, it's easier said than done, though. Being authentic with others, being authentic about our weaknesses and our downfalls, and being authentic about the stuff in our life that just almost ruined us. Like, that's the stuff in our life that has potential to have the biggest impact on the people around us. There's this story in the book of Mark. It's always been one of my favorite stories, and I know that I've preached on it multiple times. But in the book of Mark, when you're reading Mark is doing this really interesting thing that so often you can miss because it's kind of complicated what's going on. See, when you're reading the book of Mark in chapter 1, Mark is giving little hints and clues about what's going on with Jesus. Mark chapter 1, he talks about the Sabbath. And then later he talks about Jesus leaving the synagogue. And in chapter 2, he talks about Capernaum, and he's saying Jesus is beside the lake, meaning the Sea of Galilee. Chapter 3, he mentions synagogue, and then Jesus is teaching, and there's a crowd from Galilee. And then in chapter 4, it says that Jesus is again teaching near the Sea of Galilee. He's teaching near the lake. And then at the end of chapter 4, Jesus says, all right, guys, let's go over to the other side. Let's go over to the other side of the lake. Let's go over to the other side of the Sea of Galilee, because what's happening is Jesus is staying in one area, one little area where everything is the same. All the people are the same. It's a Jewish area. It's people that think alike and have had the same kind of education as you. And crossing over to the other side of the Sea of Galilee, that's like entering a whole new world. That's like leaving the known, the comfortable, this tightly knit Jewish world, and going over to the other side is a whole different ballgame. You see, the other side is a place that probably none of the disciples would have ever gone to. This wasn't a Jewish area. This was a Greek area. This is what the Romans came in years before this, and they took over the cities, and they wiped out thousands of men. They would just pull out some of the strongest men. They murdered them outside of the cities. They came in. They took over the area. They brought a lot of their own beliefs and different things when it came to religion, so these people worshiped pagan gods. And so this side of the lake is not like this side where everybody grew up. And so Jesus says, okay, we're going to go over there now. We've spent 4 chapters right here. This stuff's easy right here. We're surrounded by church people. We're going to go over here, and things are going to be a lot different. And so the disciples, being students, being 16, 17-year-old boys, they jump in the boat with them, and they cross over to this unknown land. And the boat just barely touches shore. It's like they just reach this new area with all these new people. And it says immediately this man who was possessed by demons came running at him, this wild man, completely butt naked, yelling and screaming. And he falls down at the feet of Jesus and he says, "What do you want from us, Son of the Most High God?" And you have to think these disciples, these young teenage boys, are looking around each other like, oh my gosh, what did we just agree to do? Like, where in the world is Jesus taking us? My dad is going to be ticked off if he finds out that this is where we are, and we've only heard stories about these kinds of people, and look what we've gotten ourselves into. Because you would have heard stories about the other side, but no good Jewish person was brave enough or dumb enough to go over there. And so there's this crazy, naked man who's living in the cemetery. He's possessed by demons, and the townspeople would try to chain him up so they could kind of stay safe. And he would constantly just break free, and he would cut himself with pieces of pottery. And here is this man, and he's kneeling at the feet of Jesus, and he's begging Jesus not to torture him. So it's like the demons actually know the power of Jesus just by when they see him coming over. And so Jesus looks at this man and he says, "What's your name?" And the man responds with, "My name is Legion, for we are many." Legion is a Roman military term. It refers to about 2,000 soldiers that would just come in and they would just take over an area. And he says, "Our name is Legion because there's just so many demons inside this man." And so this man, the demons inside are begging Jesus, and they said, "Listen, don't torture us. Like, you see those pigs over there on the hillside? Just say the word, and we will leave this man, and we will go over into the pigs, and we'll be done." It's like they're asking for permission. It's a really weird story, and Jesus says, "Fine, go ahead." And so the demons, they leave this man and they go into this herd, and they say it's a herd of about 2,000 pigs. And the pigs immediately freak out and they run down the hill and they jump off of this cliff and they die in the Sea of Galilee. And so there's some people whose job is to tend the pigs, kind of like shepherds. Most likely these would have been young kids. And so these kids, they run back to the village close by and they start telling everyone, "Hey, you know the crazy guy in the cemetery? Like the crazy naked guy, he ran down to this man in the boat, and this man in the boat with just words was able to cure this man. And then, by the way, all the demons went into all of our pigs and they jumped off of a cliff and died and drowned. But you got to come down and see this man." And so everyone from the village is interested to see is this true? Did this really happen? And so they go down and they find this man who was once crazy, who was once living in the cemetery, was once so strong and so powerful that he couldn't be tied down. And it says in Mark that they saw the man who had been possessed by the legion of demons sitting there, dressed in his right mind, and they were afraid. And so the townspeople, they look at Jesus and they say, "You got to go." Like, they were freaked out by Legion, like this crazy, crazy man. But they were more freaked out by the man who could rescue Legion by just talking. Because this man had been a problem for the townspeople. He's scary. You can hear him screaming every night. He's cutting himself with pottery, and they try to chain him down to protect themselves. And they warn their kids, whatever you do, stay away from the man in the cemetery. And I'm sure the kids would sneak into the cemetery and throw rocks at the man, because that's probably what I would do, like if there was this crazy guy. And they're like, "Whatever you do, stay away." And he was like the town legend, like, there's this guy and we're just not going to go anywhere near him because there's nothing else that we can do. And Jesus comes to town, and if I had to guess, I would say probably at most he's only there 20 minutes. And he heals the guy, and they said, "No way. Like, that's too scary for us. And the naked guy in the cemetery, we can handle that. But you just said the word and he's fine. Like, you got to get out of there." And just like that, maybe 20 minutes while visiting the other side, Jesus says, "Okay, we're going back to the Jewish area. We're going back where we know everybody. It's safe over here." And the disciples and Jesus, they climb back in the boat. But the man who was possessed by demons, it says that he begged to go with Jesus. But Jesus didn't let him. Instead, because he's begging, he said, "Please, let me go with you. Let me cross over to the other side. I want to spend some more time with you." And instead, Jesus says, "Listen, go home to your own people. Tell them how much the Lord has done for you and how he has had mercy on you." This man finally gets his life back, and the first thing he wants to do is just go with Jesus. He just wants to go and spend time with Jesus. He's saying, "You're leaving? Like, if you're leaving, there's room in the boat. Let me go with you. I want to hear the things that you have to say." And Jesus says, "No. No, it's not going to happen. And the guy's looking at the kids, the teenagers that are with him. He's saying, you've got disciples. Let me be a disciple. Come and teach me. Let me be one of your students. And Jesus says, no. Jesus says, you can't come with me. He says, you need to stay here. And when you think about Jesus and his ministry, his mission on earth, it's kind of like, isn't that the point? Like, isn't that the point, to make disciples and to teach people and have people follow you so that they can take what they learn from you and that they can go and teach other people? And Jesus says, no, because I've got something else for you to do. You see, because this man had a story. Like, this man had a good story. Like, if this man stood up here, you'd be like, that's a good story. Like, that is a great testimony. Baptize me now. Like, I'm good to go. Because this man has a past, and Jesus says, listen, take this story, take what just happened here today, and go back into your land. Go back to this Greek pagan land, and go back and tell that story and minister to the people there. And it's like, well, what about training? Like, the guy has only known Jesus for just a matter of minutes. Like, the guy knows nothing about the Old Testament. The guy obviously doesn't have a ministry degree. He has no understanding of the Bible at that point. You can't just send him back without any kind of clear direction. And Jesus says, just go tell him about my mercy and go tell him about my grace. And according to Jesus, that's enough. Just go back and tell your friends and your family. Go back to the people in the marketplace and everyone you come in contact with and tell your story. It's as if Jesus has more confidence in this man than the man actually has in himself. It's like Jesus believes in this man, and this man doesn't even really believe in himself. And I've been thinking about this story this week and how it applies to us. Because I think that when we have a story and we go through some sort of tragedy or difficult time or some kind of struggle or death or loss, the first thing that we find ourselves doing, and I'm sure you've done this before, is you start asking why. Why did this happen to me? Why am I having to go through this? There's got to be some sort of meaning in my life. I have to make some sort of meaning for what I've just experienced. Like, why would God allow this to happen? Maybe you can find meaning in how you use that moment of your life to help others. Maybe the meaning of what you've just experienced or that thing that you have in your past, maybe the meaning for that is how you let God shine through that moment of your life. 1 Chronicles 16. It says, thank God, call out his name, and tell the whole world who he is and what he's done. In Matthew chapter 5, it says, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. See, we have this idea, at least I did growing up, that you have to witness a certain way. You know the word witness? That seems like it's like a 90s thing. Like, you got to go witness to other people and say this and this and this and tell them about Jesus. And I actually looked, because I know that I remember books from when I was in college, like how to witness about Jesus. And then there's workshops that you can take, like how to accurately talk to other people about Jesus. And I doubt most of you ended up coming to church because somebody said just the right words and explained Jesus just the right way. Or we have this idea like, man, I don't know the Bible well enough. What if they start asking questions? Or what if they say their point of view and they try to argue with me? There's no way I know enough about the Bible that I could argue with this person. One of my favorite quotes that I'd read years ago says, nobody ever became a Christian because they lost an argument. Because arguments don't change people. Arguments just allow our opinions to get in the way and end up blocking Jesus. And our own opinions are what we're trying to argue. Look at Matthew 5:16, the next version. This is actually the Message version. I like this version a lot better. It says, be generous with your lives. By opening up to others, you will prompt people to open up with God, this generous Father in heaven. By opening up to others, you will prompt others to open up for God. the story of Legion, it's not just say, go back and be authentic. Go back and be real and tell the story. This is about redemption. Go back and tell this story of redemption. See, when you tell your story, it shouldn't just be about your sins and the mess that you've made of your life or the things that you've experienced. It shouldn't just be all about you, and trying to glorify you and look what you have overcome. Your story should be about grace and mercy and all the things that you've dealt with that you wouldn't have been able to overcome if it wasn't for Jesus. There's more to the story of Legion. There's actually kind of a happy ending, but you will miss it if you're not paying attention. And again, it comes down to Mark and how he uses geography and where Jesus is to explain it, because this is happening in Mark chapter 5. In Mark chapter 5, Jesus leaves the other side. He's done. He was there 20, 30 minutes. He says, these people don't want me here. Let's go back over to the other side with the Jewish people, and we'll continue ministering there. And he spends time on the safe part of the lake, the safe side of the Sea of Galilee. And then in Mark chapter 7, these kind of verses that maybe we read through fast because it's just a bunch of different names. It says, then Jesus left the vicinity of Tyre, went through Sidon and down to the Sea of Galilee, and into the region of the Decapolis. The region of the Decapolis, that's a Greek word, that's a Roman term. Jesus has walked around the lake, and now he's back to the other side. Jesus is back with the pagan people. He's back to the land where he healed Legion. He's back ready to minister to the people that said, we don't want you here. Like, you freak us out. Go ahead and get out of here. And Jesus has not been back since. He was there 20 minutes. He left, said, okay, you go tell your story. I'm done. And look at verse 32. It says, there some people brought to him a man who was deaf and could hardly talk. And they begged Jesus to place his hands on him. And after he took him aside away from the crowd, and then it tells the story of how Jesus healed him. See, Mark's doing this really weird thing where he's telling this story, but you think, okay, wait a minute. Jesus is back in this land where nobody knew anything about him, nobody wanted him, but there's a crowd. Like, there's actually people waiting for Jesus. There's actually a crowd of people that are following Jesus around this Greek region with different gods, with a different worldview, with different education. How in the world is there a crowd of people now, a couple chapters later, waiting for Jesus? And why would they walk up to this man and say, hey, we need you to heal him? How do they even know that this is what Jesus does? How do they know that Jesus has the power to heal somebody? Because when Jesus was there before, he only stayed for a matter of minutes. So why is there a crowd? Why is there people following him? Is it actually because that the man who was set free from demons went and told his story? That he actually listened to Jesus and did what Jesus told him to do. And he went back into this land where nobody wanted anything to do with Jesus and told the story. Said, this is what my life used to be like. And then I met this man, and this is who I am now. And then the next time that Jesus shows up, there are so many people that have heard about him that there's a crowd that's gathered. It's this subtle, kind of interesting thing that Mark does to kind of wrap up this story of Legion. But it all goes back to the fact that Jesus knows that there is power in your story. That there is power in sharing your story of grace. That there is power in being authentic with the people in your life. Like, whatever you've been through, you are fully capable of using that experience to point other people to Jesus. It's like when Jesus was there, Jesus is saying, okay, these people aren't ready for me yet, but they'll listen to you. Like, they're not going to listen to the things I have to say, but you've got a story. Go and tell that story. It's like that person at work that you know that they just want nothing to do with church. And they're very negative when it comes to church, and they don't want to hear about Jesus. It's like Jesus saying, okay, they don't want to hear about me right now, but you've got a story. You share the story. You talk about the grace and the mercy and how your life was before and how it's changed now. And then we will see what happens. It's like the person in your family that makes the stupid comments like, if I step foot in church, it'll probably cave in on me. And there's no way I'm ever going to go, be surrounded by a bunch of Christians. Okay, that's fine, but you have a story. He'll listen to your story. She'll listen to the story that you have and how your life was changed. And it's what Jesus does again and again and again. And Jeff and Corey and I, we can stand up here and we can talk about having faith in God and having faith in Jesus, but sometimes we need to step back and say, man, I think Jesus does have faith in me. We can realize that Jesus has faith in us and what we can do in our life, and that thing that you've gone through in that dark moment in your life, and the struggles and the weaknesses and the bag of crap that you have in your life. I think we need to realize Jesus can use that. But it's going to take us being authentic. It's going to take us stop pretending and being willing to use our weaknesses and our mess and the bag of crap that we wish we really want to keep hidden because it's kind of embarrassing. But we have the potential to use this stuff and be able to point other people to Jesus. As we close, I just want to ask that you stand and we sing this song.